Hi all, welcome to Colored Pencil with Jaki. I was just going to make a quick clip of what I'm doing today. I purchased a lesson from Peggy Osborne is going to be the teacher, and it's how to draw a little goat. This is a Nigerian dwarf goat. So there was kind of a sketch with the lesson, but it was too faint for me, so I blew him up to the size I want to make him. And remember, when there's lots of detail in the little guys, a little bit bigger is easier. And I have the paper I'm going to use. This I just bought. It's Fabriano, which is a good name. Fabriano Artistico is a good paper. This is their studio watercolor. And as you can see, it's acid free. It's 140 pound paper, so it's not super heavy. 25% cotton, hot press. Hot press works really well for a hot press watercolor. Sorry, works really well for colored pencils. So we're going to give that a run. And I've taken a piece of paper out. And as you can see, it's quite heavy. There's no smooth side, rough side, it's all smooth. So to make my sketch, what is really important with me is to get his ears in the right place and the distance between his eyes and his nose, maybe a little on his cheek and stuff. That's another ear, we're going to leave that out. So you want to get your reference points as accurate as possible. So for that, I have this is like a light box. It was quite cheap on Amazon. It plugs into the computer just with a little USB port. I can't see that, just I'll slide it over. Got a little USB port, plugs in the computer when your computer's on, and I will show you what it does. You press the little funny little button and it lights up at 3 different intervals. For this, because the paper is quite heavy, I'm going to use the brighter. One thing I want to make sure too is when I'm putting my paper down, he's quite hard to see, and we're going to have to probably do some lines underneath. Of course, the light from overhead doesn't help. You can do this in a dark place, but I want to set him up on the piece of paper. And from what I've read, you don't want to put his eye either dead center, which would make it about there, which is nice because his little head's right in the middle, or you want to divide your paper into thirds. You can do this with a pencil, in thirds, and then have the eye like at one of the cross points of the thirds. So there, or here, or here. I think I'm going to, just because it's a lesson, this probably won't be the best thing I do. I think I'm going to try and put his little eye right in the middle. And if you need to, you can draw yourself some lines. I can turn that off for now. And one thing I use to draw my lines with is the Prismacolor Color Erase pencils, because they have color and they erase. So I'm just going to find a little midpoint and put a little dot with my gray color erase. Like, I might not even have to erase this afterwards, like we'll have to see. Plus I'm going to do my sketching of the little baby guy, like my tracing with that, especially to get those points where, as I've said, the important points for me would be like where the hair meets his ear here, to get that curve right, to get his nose in the right spot, and that eye to nose ratio and eye to ear, and then, you know, the depth of the ear, because that's really what's going to influence how people see it. I mean, this isn't going to be realistic. This is not hyper-realism. We're just going to do a lesson with him. But those proportions, like, you know, here to here, here to here, This is how long his little nose is, how up and down his little nose is, how long this ear is compared to this ear. That's the kind of stuff that makes or breaks your drawing, and you really notice it if you get it a little bit wrong, because it's all you see. It's like, oh, I got that wrong. Even though you might have done, you know, your blending is really good, and his eye is really liquidy and clear, and blah, blah, you know, all that stuff. Nope, it's wrong. I don't like it. It looks goofy. Or you know it looks goofy, and you can't figure out why. Like, you're looking at it and go like, that's not right. Why is that not right? What's wrong? That's when a good time to get out a measuring a ruler. Go back to your reference, and even if it's on the computer, like seriously, get up there, measure it. Like, okay, so these like okay, 1/4 of an inch between there and there. Whatever you need to do to get that right. So I'm going to turn out the big light in a sec. We're going to turn this on. Alright, we're going to figure out the middle. Remember, don't rub your paper with your hands. Get a little brush, because that little piece of black could have been graphite or something. If I'd have gone like squish, I might have had this squish, big long line in there. Well, let's figure the center. Centers are easy. Just measure the top and bottom. This is 12 inches by almost 9 inches. So the center is going to be 6 inches. I think I'll do this at the bottom. Center is going to be 6 inches. We're using our erasable colored pencil. And they are, oh no, this is 9, so the bottom is going to be 4.5. Half of 9 is 4.5. And then check again, it's 12. Half of 12 is 6. And I'm going to just sort of eyeball this. So that's where this one would go. That one would come up over here. So we're just going to do a little line. I do it light. You probably can't see that. And then we have our 4. If you're feeling a little unsure, you can always do another line up here and line it up. A little cross there. Don't need much now because I know where it is. So this is going to be the center of his eye. And we just erase. And that comes right off really easily. It's really easy to erase it. Okay. I'm going to dim these lights because my I have a light ring up here because with my cataracts I need it. Turn the light pad on and try and find his eye. I'd like that to go one brighter. So what I'm finding is that you just move your paper around until you get it exactly where you want it, right there. What I'm finding that is I find it very hard to see, like I can see a little bit of his ear. Yeah, you guys probably can see more than me, but that's like the cataract issue, is I can't see enough of his points to make me confident just to sketch it. Like even if I push really hard on the paper, like his ear is good because he's got white, but this eye is black and it's on a black and white photograph. I don't know if having a colored photograph would work better. I don't have a colored printer, so I can't tell you. So what I'm going to do, because that's not going to work, put this to the side somewhere safe because it's not a good piece of paper now, and I'm really good at not getting them back in the right place. I'm going to get my black erasable pencil. I keep these separate because they don't fit in anything where I'd remember I'd put them. And throw it on the ground. Okay, this black too. That's red. I have to go get it. Okay. Excuse me for a sec. This is when you like having toes that can pick things up. Okay, it's black. So what I'm going to do is go over the edges that I really want to see. So I'm basically just enhancing the points that I really, really feel are important on him. And actually that's not working so great. Oops, sorry for shaking the table. I know I've done that before and it's like, whoa. So I'm going to get a white pen and a jelly roll should work. And maybe I'll just do the edges lightly, lightly, lightly. With the jelly roll. And just remember we'll have to let it dry too. Just go over that white bit a bit. He's got a tiny bit of flecking at the bottom too. And just make that much more clear. Here's his little mouth. And this is good, you can do this when you're looking at your photograph too, because the lesson is quite well set up. It comes with a photograph. But I'm just making sure. This is where anatomy helps in. If you've actually, seen one of these baby goats, played with these baby goats, love these baby goats, makes it much easier because you're more familiar with their anatomy. And anatomy is just a matter of looking and watching. See this little line of black comes down here. And watching and looking. Let's see, okay, we'll just give that a second to dry. And you can see how his little mouth sort of goes out here. Remember, this is just our beginning sketch. When we start working. That's really typical goat. If you look at a goat's bone, that bone comes right up here. That's the jawbone. And that's, you really can tell like the gender from that too, actually. You can see the boys from the girls pretty good. I might do this a bit out here so we don't miss that. And I'm going to come down and do his little bridge of his little nose. It gets a little fluffy there. When I do my actual work, I'll probably go outside these lines. But for right now, if I want to get that eye just perfect, we'll just give it a sec. You don't want to do it when it's still wet. We'll give it a sec and see if that makes him more easy to draw. Go back to our little X point. Easier to find his little eye now. No, it didn't give us much. That's disappointing. My second option, which I think I'm going to do, is tape this one to the big sliding glass window, or southern exposure window, and use the paper up against that. The sun is shining right now, it's quite intense, so that's what I'm going to have to do. So you want to, don't feel discouraged. I mean, there was a drawing there you could have used. I'm doing my own, so I have to be flexible and sort of creative on how we get his little picture done. And I'll go do that on the window and then show you when I have something to look at. Well, I'm back. Interesting enough, the sun didn't even make a difference. So what I'm going to do is switch to paper. This is the, this is the B paper, Aqua B. It's heavyweight sketch paper. It's still 86 pounds, so it's thinner. And it is acid-free, natural white sheet, 30% recycled. It's a bit of a rough surface, a little bit rougher, but I've used this for a number of things. But as you can see, even on there he is. So I'll be able to trace with him. So right now I'm going to go back, measure, get a center, and start tracing. Well, it's quite hard to see. I'll hold it up a bit maybe. You can see I've got his eyes, his nose, his mouth, bit of his neck and the position of his two little ears. Very faintly done. You want to keep it light so you can work on it. Very faintly done. And it's pretty well dead center, so I need to have lunch, and then we'll come back and probably do something else and then get into the lesson. I had to change paper, but that's okay. This is a lesson. It's not a keep. So there you go. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more color pencils with Jaki.